Welcome, I'm Concussed Albatross. Today, I'd like to talk about the sheer idiocy of the Electoral College system in the US. I want to preface this by saying I'm not butthurt or anything about Hillary losing the election despite winning the popular vote. I was actually kind of rooting for Trump. However, given the result of this past election, I think it's a good time to point out the flaws of the system that led to it. I firmly believe that the Electoral College system, as it stands, undermines the very idea of a democracy. Now you may be saying, well, it's only happened 4 times in US history that the winner didn't receive a plurality of the popular vote. Now that's a fair point, but consider for a moment this hypothetical scenario. Please note that for the purposes of this example, I'll be operating under the assumption that eligible voters are evenly distributed throughout the US. Let's imagine that a candidate were to win 11 particular states, in each instance with a 51% majority. These 11 states are California, Texas, Florida, New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, and New Jersey. These states have a combined population of about 181.5 million, according to 2014 census estimates. The total population of the US was estimated to be about 322.5 million in 2013. That means that these 11 states comprise about 56.3% of the total US population. If we multiply their combined population by 0.51, we get the number of votes that would be required to elect the President of the United States, around 92.6 million. This represents about 28.7% of the total US population. If that's not worrying enough, it gets even worse if you imagine a scenario where a third party is involved. In this case, one could win all of a state's electoral votes with a plurality of 34% of the state's popular vote. This means that if we use the same states again, a candidate could win with just under 19.2% of the US population supporting them, even if everyone else in the United States opposed them. This is akin to a soccer game in which the winner is not the side that scores the most goals, but rather scores goals in particular areas of the net, where Team B could score 71 goals, yet Team A could win despite scoring only 29. Now, I'll admit that these are extreme and highly unlikely scenarios, but a system where this could even theoretically occur is clearly flawed, and an affront to the very idea of a democracy that we hold so dear in the US. Perhaps a better approach would be to implement a multiple winner system, instead of this winner-takes-all approach with regards to electoral votes. For example, if 55% of voters in Florida voted for the Republican candidate and 40% voted Democrat, the Republican candidate would receive 55% of Florida's 29 electoral votes, or about 16, with the Democrat receiving 13. This would much better represent the voters, both per state and nationwide. In this system, a person voting Republican in a state where 60% of the voters chose the Democratic candidate could still actually affect the results of the election, instead of their vote effectively meaning nothing. It would also dramatically change the approach of election campaigns. Both candidates would be compelled to campaign in often ignored states like Texas and California. Admittedly, this approach would likely lead to dense population centers becoming the most sought-after campaigning grounds, but it would give a voice to both Republicans in blue states and Democrats in red states. Thank you for your time, and enjoy your day.